all the way from the Rockland County Business Journal, Tina Traster herself. Good morning, Tina. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Rockland County. I am fine. I know it's spring because the grackles are at the bird feeder.
That's fair. Is it spring yet? Is it officially spring?
No, not officially, but they tell me that it is.
Okay, fair enough.
They know. I think they know even more than the groundhog.
Fair, very true. I could say that, I guess. How are things going on in the world of Rockland business, as it were?
Busy. But this past week, I decided to write a little bit of a personal piece, a little indulgence.
Oh.
And I wrote a piece about the Starbucks that is slated to rise, where the old 1825 frame house is going to be torn down in Nanuet.
Interesting. Starbucks has certainly had some stuff going on the national level, so it's interesting that we've got some local stuff in regards to that.
Well, I wrote this piece, and I told our fellow readers that I had grown up myself in Canarsie, in Brooklyn, in a place that was sort of largely the 1960s architecture, and how important old houses and historic buildings always were to me. And it was part of what lured me up here to the county, where I have been for about 20 years. I myself have rescued an 1850s farmhouse, which, of course, I mention probably owns me more than I own it. All through the years I have been here, driving up and down 304, I've always looked at that house, and I've always had that sort of sigh that goes, oh, too bad that's going to be torn down one day. Too bad somebody can't rescue that. Wouldn't it be nice, if that could be, even though it's amid a sea of retail, wouldn't just that one focal point of history, rural history in this county, wouldn't it be lovely if that could be saved? Mm-hmm. And then about 3 to 4 years ago, the process began with the application for Starbucks, and I pretty much knew that was probably the kibosh, and that there was very little chance that, unfortunately, I guess, that Starbucks would seek to, undertake a rehabbing or repurposing of a building like that. I mean, it is rather deteriorated, but still, you can still see the beauty, the lines, you can still see the past when you drive past that building. Mm-hmm. So I put out a personal essay on this, which I do every once in a very blue moon. And what really surprised me was how much engagement, interest, and common sentiment there was about this house. Mm-hmm. It was really quite a delightful experience, because I always think, I'm probably the only one that gives a hoot about this. And I can tell you that having put this piece out and seeing what went on, not only on social media, but emails to me on this,
right.
and like people reaching out on Facebook by private messenger, it really, I don't know. I mean, something was stirred, and it made me think, okay, it's not just me. There are people all throughout the community who have done the same thing. They've driven by, and they've been able to kind of time travel and see into the past and imagine what a different era would have looked like, because that's what old buildings do. Mm-hmm. One funny aside to all of this is that, like I mentioned when I started this conversation, that I grew up in Canarsie. Well, Canarsie is also the home of Howard Schultz, who is the billionaire who founded Starbucks and
right.
Starbucks. So in this piece, I do a shout out to Howard, my former fellow Canarsian, saying basically, caffeine is good, but it's even nicer when it's served in an old historic building. Mm-hmm. The folks who are doing this Starbucks, I think that they've already come to town. They've already, cleared their zoning hurdles. And I think what stirred me to finally write this piece was that I see a bulldozer on the property. And so I assume one of these days, within 4 minutes, that house will collapse. So it's, it's stood like 200 years, and it'll come down in 2 minutes. And just a little bit of, I don't know, they're just personal. On a personal note, this always feels just a little bit sad to me. And I guess I was happy to learn that the community, that there were many in the community who felt, I mean, some people were just happy to have a Starbucks, I'll say that, but there was common sentiment about taking down the old house.
It's interesting that you say that, because we actually have a caller right now that wanted to talk to you about that, if you don't mind.
Oh.
We've got Marianne on the line who read your piece. Good morning, Marianne. You're on with Tina Traster from the Rockland County Business Journal.
I read your piece, and I was telling somebody about it, and I said first of all it was beautiful, and I'd love to see that Starbucks open. I pass it all the time. I know it's been slated to, come about. I've even asked George Holman, and I wish you luck with it, and I'll be one of your first customers.
Well, you mean for Starbucks?
Yes, I mean I'm hoping it comes about. It's I like that house. I'm glad that they didn't tear it down.
No, they are going to tear it down.
Oh, they are. I'm sorry. I thought you said they were going to make the Starbucks.
Oh, no. That's the whole thing. Is Starbucks is just going to go in there. They're going to tear that down. But that's what's unfortunate, because there are many Starbucks around the country where they have rehabbed historic buildings.
Right, that's what I had read. I think in Pennsylvania, you said, right?
Yeah, in Doylestown, right in the center of town, there's an old historic building, and there's a Starbucks. And even like in Nyack, in the village,
yes,
Starbucks occupies a Victorian building, and
with the fireplace and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, it would have been a big undertaking, yes, but it would have been a nice thing for the community. But I guess that's not.
Is it definitely not happening?
Yeah, as far as I understand, it's not happening. I mean, if the community were to, rise up and ask for it, it'd probably be told it's too late, but it's a shame.
I'm sorry. I read how beautiful it could be. I thought it was going to happen.
No, but thank you for reading.
Okay, well, if anybody hears and it happens, then I think it would be a nice little... it
would be beautiful. Yeah, it would be a great thing to do.
All righty. Have a great day.
Thank you, Marianne.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. Well.
So when I had a question. When they do something like they did in Pennsylvania, like by restoring it, but they also operate out of the restored building?
Yeah. They've bought the building, I assume, and they rehabbed it. It's a stunning building right in the center of Doyle. Have you ever been to Doylestown?
I have not.
Lovely, lovely place. There's the sort of place that has preserved history. You walk around, there are markers. History matters, and I say that in the story. About how when you have a rehab building, even amid new development, it's a way to tie the past to the future. When you plow down everything, you just have Route 304 or 59 or these kind of places that, kind of take your soul away. But when you have an opportunity to preserve something, I'm usually in favor of that, especially because a building like any building, I mean, that building actually was the Clarkstown Police Department. I don't know the history on how that building ever got sold back to a private developer or a private landowner. That would be, I'd have to, go look at the deeds and go backwards and figure that out. But, that's an example of a building. There was also once a gas station there, and many people said in the comments that there are old gas tanks underground and that they're going to have to be dug up. So, that's a project in and of itself.
Right. But would Starbucks have to fit the bill for that?
I assume so. When McGee sells the land to whomever it is that's doing the Starbucks, I guess they're going to be on the hook for all of this.
Mm-hmm. But they would have to fit the bill either way, no?
Yeah,
no matter what they were doing with the property, they still bought it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that if Starbucks comes to a community and they're interested in a historic preservation, rehabilitation, I assume that there are grants or that there are ways that they sometimes would work with a municipality. I mean, Clarkstown has paid out to buy and preserve certain swaths of land for one reason or another, like the Country Day Club. Yeah, I mean, these things can be done, but there has to be the will, there has to be the desire, and I don't mean to say, the funny thing is I have written about this house once before, a very long time ago, in conjunction, I think, with something else that I wrote. But there has to be a collective will, and just all too often, I guess people learn about this when it's kind of too late because they don't participate. I have been writing about this Starbucks coming to this location for more than 2 years, maybe 3 years. So it's not that there hadn't been a heads up like, oh, we're going to lose that house.
Right.
But it's difficult. People don't gather around the issue, and then they sort of, when it feels too late, and I don't know if it is too late, that's when there's a lot of collective sorrow about it. Mm-hmm. But either way, it was nice to know that there was common sentiment, and I hope that people, just enjoyed the piece.
Mm-hmm. Well, while the property may already be in the hands of Starbucks legally, there does seem to be a lot of common sentiment. So if enough sentiment was made clear, enough of this common feeling about this was made clear to Starbucks, as distracted as they might be with their national issues right now, do you think there could be a possibility that we could still see something akin to what's happened in Pennsylvania happen in Nanuet?
I never say die. That's either my strength or my weakness. But I always believe that it's not over till it's over. So the building is still there. Yes, it is. It's very degraded. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't know if something can still be preserved. I don't know if there's enough will, if enough people contacted the town officials. If something, a compromise couldn't be struck, I just don't know. Mm-hmm. But I know that it's up to the will of it should always be up to the will of the people.
Right.
So even though it's obviously it's a private land owner and a private property owner, all true. But it is a piece of history, and I often, not always, but I often think history is worth fighting for. So there you have it. The community has, that's the role we play. We put out the information, and then it's up to the community to either read and cry into your soup or mobilize. I mean, that's the whole point of civic engagement. Just very quickly, I wanted to say that was in court last week on Thursday, and the time limit case, the term limits case in Clarkstown, right, is coming to a boil, and it was we put up a piece on this last Thursday, Friday, and if you want to stay really on top of what's going on, this was very interesting because there was the expectation that the judge was going to rule, and then instead she asked for oral argument, and in that oral argument, she very much highlighted the argument that the defendants have put forward, which is whether or not this issue of the time of the term limits is what's called time barred, meaning the statute of limitations has run, and that there's really not the right to try to challenge it legally. And she focused on that, and there was a lot of discussion on that, and we go into the details of that in our latest story. So if anybody is following this very important story in detail, and you want to get a flavor of what went on in court last week, take a look at our latest piece, because this is crazy, because this is already election season. It's already petition collecting season, signatures, and you've got the term limits that's not decided yet, and you've got the map redistricting that's still in play, and the petition the deadline is April 6th, which is less than a month away. So Clarkstown is like spinning up in the air. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Clarkstown is going to be very interesting come November, but we'll certainly keep track of that with you, and we thank you for your coverage. I wish we could have spoken to George today, but unfortunately he was unavailable, so hopefully we'll get to speak more with him about this next week. As with you. And thank you for your call, by the way. Tina Traster from the Rockland County Business Journal. You can find their page on Facebook or Twitter or their website, rcbizjournal.com, or you can just Google Rockland County Business Journal. And thank you so much, Tina, for your time. We do appreciate that and the news information that you give out to everybody listening at this time. Have a wonderful week, and we'll speak to you next Monday.
Okay, have a great week, you guys.
You too.
Bye.